If you have been watching the previous sessions in this tutorial, you'll realize that so far we have been posting resources for the students, but nothing is gradable at this point yet. We also configured the gradebook so that the course is ready and good to go in that area. Now we're going to learn how to configure assignments in your course. One of the most common types of assignments is the case where a student has to type a paper and submit it for grading, and you'll provide feedback grading it. So we'll go here under Add an Activity, and then we're going to choose the option for Assignment. Next, we're going to go down here under Add, and then we need to give a title to this assignment. So you'll give it a title, and then you're going to use the description area where you'll post the various requirements for this paper. Now you can copy those requirements from the syllabus or from some kind of document that you might have with the requirements and such. In this case, I'm just going to paste a bunch of stuff here. It's best to also post the rubric either as part of this document right here, or you can post it as a file attachment right below in this area by either browsing for the file and finding and locating it, or by dragging and dropping the file. So let's say this is my assignment 1 details as well. I can simply drag and drop it in here, and that was by having this Explorer window right above the eLearning page and holding down the mouse and dragging it over to this box. The next thing here is the availability for this assignment. So the availability is when are students allowed to start submitting to this assignment. So you can uncheck the starting point if you want, or you can set those, but remember, any of those dates need to be accurate. There's nothing more frustrating to the students than inaccurate dates. Remember that the due dates and such, they also show up on the dashboard of the students and also in their calendar. So it's very important that those are kept up to date and such. So you're going to pick when the assignment is due and the time, and the cutoff date. If you enable that, that will basically not allow the students to submit it after the deadline for the assignment. My suggestion is that you don't set cutoff dates unless you're going to really be strict and never accept any papers from your students when they are late and such, because they'll always have an excuse where they want to resubmit it and you're going to make an exception. And if you have a cutoff date, then there's no mechanism for them to upload it, at least easily. Then remind me to grade. You can specify when you want to be reminded to grade it and such. Then you have the file submission types. This is where you can specify what are the students going to submit to you. So this online text, that means it's going to be a little box for the students to type their response for this paper. So you could use that for very simple types of assignments and such, but in most cases you want them to type it in Microsoft Word or some kind of word processor and then submit it electronically. Now, for most assignments, I also suggest that you keep here the online text option. In some cases, students will type their paper in Google Docs and they need a mechanism to post the link to that assignment. So the online text will actually help with giving them that flexibility to post a link to the Google Doc and such. Then further down here, some of those other settings, you don't need to set the types of accepted files and such. You can leave those alone. And then under the submission settings, you don't need to customize those, but if you prefer to, you can. Feedback types, I would suggest that you leave those in place and not change those. I'll cover those shortly. The submission types, if you want group work and such, that can be defined in here for this specific assignment. However, remember, in order to use the group option, you have to have defined the groups in a course, and that's a different tutorial for a different time. Under submission settings, And notifications, here is where you can set notifications. So the default here is that you'll be notified only about late submissions. So somebody submitted it on Wednesday when they were supposed to submit it on Tuesday, you'll get an email notification for that. I'll suggest that you keep that on. And then also notify graders about submissions. That's an option where you'd be getting an email every time a student submits a paper, and probably that'll be too much email, so leave that as no, as stated there. Then under grade, here is where we can specify how we are going to grade this activity. In this case, we are going to grade it by using points, and the points are going to be the maximum number of those points. It's going to be 100. Now, my suggestion would be that if it's small reflection papers, 1 or 2 pages, maybe grade them against 20 points or 30 points. But if it's a research paper, then grade it against 100 points. The higher the number of points, the more flexibility, obviously, you have in grading that particular assignment. There are also mechanisms here to use additional scales, but for the sake of simplicity, we are going to stick to the points for now. Then there are additional grading methods where you can use direct grading, and that's basically you looking at the paper and you're going to make up your mind that this is what grade the student deserves for that paper and such. Then there are also options here to use a rubric and other methods as well, which will cover them in a different tutorial. So for most papers, you'll use simple direct grading, and then under grade category, this is important. Since we configured the grade book earlier in this course, now we have the various categories that we defined in the grade book based on the syllabus. So that's why I'd recommend that you go back to that video to configure the grade book and how that is done to understand this better. But here we specify that that's assignment 1. It belongs under research projects, let's assume. And then we scroll down here, leave everything else alone. You could restrict access here for students based on conditions and such, but if you're starting with e-learning, I would not mess with the access restrictions and such. Then under activity completion, this means that the students can mark this activity as completed after the students have submitted something to it. So basically they have done their part of their job, and now it's up to you to grade it. So basically for them, they have completed this activity. Then we click here under Save and Return to the course. And then here we have the paper. We can renumber it if we wanted to. And at this point, the students and you can click on it, and these are the details for it. This is what I had copied and pasted. This is that document, or it can be a rubric or additional documentation and such for the students and such. Now the students on their end, they will have an upload button right down here. So here is the student view from their point of view. So they'll be able to click on this assignment and read all the various directions and requirements here, and then right below they'll have an option to upload the assignment. It will also tell them the time and date, how much longer they have to complete this paper. Of course, they'll not have a year here, but they'll click on Upload Assignment, and then they'll scroll down again. They'll have to acknowledge that this is their own work, and then this is the online text option where they can post a link to their Google Doc if they're using Google Docs. Or down here, this is where they can upload the paper, submitting it to the system. So they'll do something similar to that, and then they'll press the Save Changes, and then they will see that they uploaded the file at this time, and they can preview it and even edit it if necessary. So that's the student view on their end. And this is the faculty view here on our end. Now, my suggestion would also be that you can probably differentiate the various assignments here by adding a little label in the course page. So if we go here under Add an Activity and then scroll down under Label, you can click on Add. And you can use one of the styles here if you want. Maybe that's slightly too large, so you can use the small heading. And then press save and return to the course. Now the other thing that you can do here is you can move these activities around. So if I wanted to move this assignments option right above, I can simply drag it up, and now the word assignments, and then I will be listing my assignments here as well. Notice you can also hide a specific assignment if you don't want to show various activities in the course to the students, or your lecture notes or whatever until the class is over. You can hide specific activities within the unit. And then to show it, you click on Edit Settings again, choose Show, and then that will be visible again. If you want to hide the whole unit, you can simply click on Edit, choose Hide Topic, and that hides all the activities from the students. And then you can show it by clicking on Edit and choose Show Topic. And of course, this was a little extra for the assignments, for configuring assignments in e-learning, with an extra tip here with how you hide activities and how you show them as well. One other thing, in case I forget and such, you can also duplicate activities by choosing the option here, Duplicate, and it will make a copy of this specific activity with all the various settings, and you can just change the content or requirements within the description for that activity. If for some reason you had to modify something within this activity or this assignment, just click on Edit here, choose Edit Settings, and then make the modifications that you want from here. And then make sure you save the changes and go back. The other thing that you can do is click on the assignment, click on the gear icon, choose Edit Settings, and that will take you to the same page to make the modifications. So that's how you create an assignment and how you customize it and such. This probably will be the majority of the items that you'll be entering in the course page and in e-learning. In the next video, it will be on how to grade student work and provide feedback on student assignments.